missed quite a bit of cricket. You know, I was over the moon to get the call to be back in the squad, to be honest. So I could never have really dreamt of scoring 100 on my comeback test. But yeah, it does make it a little bit sweeter because obviously a frustrating time. You know, 5-6 weeks out for injury. You know, you're watching the boys all summer. You want to be out there. So yeah, really good day.
What was it last week? Not being involved in
Yeah, of course. I mean, whenever there's a test match on at Edgbaston, you wish to be a part of it. Yeah, it probably just came a little bit too soon for me. You know, having spoken to the selectors, and, you know, I tried my best to be ready for that test match, but you know, it wasn't quite there really. You know, it was a wise decision for me to go out and get some more cricket, albeit white ball stuff for Warwickshire, but I think it was worthwhile.
England obviously bad with you coming back, with them not being bad. Were you confident you were ready to be at your best?
Yeah, I think so. It would have been nice to probably have a little bit more red ball cricket under my belt, but you know, I definitely felt like my body was ready, and you know, from a mental side of things, I was ready to play if called upon. You know, obviously coming in place of Ben Stokes is quite big shoes to fill, but you know, you try not to think about that. I try not to play like him. I try to play like myself and try and do my job for the team. And thankfully, I've done that so far.
Yes, Mel.
Most of your runs seem to have been scored at number 8. Would you like to bat higher up the order?
Well, I made my test debut at 6, so you know, that's probably a little bit too high, a little bit of a nosebleed at 6. But no, I honestly don't really mind where I bat. You know, I suppose batting at 7, you get a little bit more of an opportunity to bat with the genuine batsman. But at the same time, batting lower down the order, there's almost less pressure on you to score runs. So I suppose I don't really mind where I bat. I just try and do my job for the team. I will always try to have that mentality as a batsman wherever I bat, whatever number it is, and try and score as many runs as I can. You know, if I'm batting 9, for instance, I don't try and, you know, dash 20 and then, you know, have a swing. I always try and play properly and have that mentality as a batsman.
Melvin, Ali.
Just to if I can, one, your figures of yours are frankly ridiculous. What is it about this ground with bat and ball, frankly?
I don't know, to be honest. I've obviously had a couple of good games here in the past. You know, it's only my third test match, I think, here. So, you know, I haven't played a huge amount of cricket here, but at the same time, whenever I have, it's gone reasonably well. So, I don't know whether that's the surface, the conditions, or I've just hit form at the right time when it's Lord's Week. But you know, I generally have enjoyed bowling here. The slope gives you a little bit more to work with as a bowler. You know, when the sun's out, it can be flat, but you know, when it does get overcast here, the ball does move around, and that slope just does add a little dimension to it, you know, the game as a batsman. So something else to think about. But you know, I feel like I've bowled well, particularly from the nursery end here, and I've found good rhythm in a few test matches now, which is nice.
And speaking of the nursery, and you've got your own little nursery at home, first test as a father, how's that been different, especially sleep-wise and everything else?
Yeah, it has been a little bit different, a little bit of a shock to the system, but obviously fantastic as well. It's, you know, so it puts things in perspective. You have a bad day at cricket and you go home. It's nice to have that breakaway. The lads did ask me actually where was the baby celebration, but that wasn't, for some reason, wasn't on my mind. I didn't really have any ideas of how I was going to celebrate, and didn't really know how to celebrate. So, you know, obviously just delighted.
Ali.
Chris, you dreamt about scoring a test on Lords. What was that feeling like when you scrambled that 3 over?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a bit of a blur, I suppose, and you know, it seems to go so fast that 30 seconds of raising your bat feels literally like a blink of the eye. But yeah, an incredible feeling. You know, I was probably getting a little bit nervous through those 90, well, probably a little bit earlier than that, to be honest. Went from 60 to 80 pretty quickly, and then all of a sudden you start thinking of 3 figures. You know, you start waffling things outside off stump, which I hadn't been doing. Johnny came down and had the word, which settled me. And yeah, that feeling of raising your bat to a standing ovation at Lords, as you said, it's a bit of a boyhood dream, and it's just, I suppose, I'm lost for words a little bit, but it was a special time, special day for me.
Can I ask about the wicket of Hardik yesterday? 'Cause he was come back in, and I guess you probably see the primary job in the balls to take out the kingpin in Australia, in India's lineup must be pretty good.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we all know how good Virat is, and he's a world-class player, number one, I believe, in the Test rankings. So, and he's obviously like you say, kingpin in India's lineup. So it's important that we try and get him out as early as possible in every Test match going forward. But particularly yesterday with the ball moving around, I felt like that was a really good opportunity to try and get him out early. And fortunately we managed to do that. But yeah, it's a great wicket. I think the most important thing was that we got him early, because obviously once he gets in, he's very difficult to get out. So obviously delighted with that wicket.
Yes, and then John. Give up.
Yeah, congratulations on 100. Till your own innings and the partnership with Johnny, there were phases when the Indian bowlers were also dominating. So how would you, given that from the time your partnership started, end of the day, how would you sum up the days? What are the wicket like and what are the conditions actually being out there in the middle?
When I first went to the crease, I think we were about 20 ahead. Johnny had been playing nicely. I think the important thing was to try and get through certain spells. There were some really good spells out there from the Indian bowlers. Mohammed Shami kept running in, bowled some really good stuff, and we just kind of saw each spell as kind of a thing to tick off. Really, if we could get through some certain spells, then we were obviously going to make it difficult for the Indian bowlers to keep coming back and bowling more spells. There wasn't a huge amount of turn there, so when the spinners were on, we felt that I suppose we'd done our job and saw off certain seamers and certain attack from the seamers, because we've seen the ball move around a little bit all game. But I think when the ball got a little bit older and a bit softer, it looked a little bit more difficult to get guys out, particularly if they were set. So and the sun was out, I suppose, a little bit for a little bit of the day, which made the wicket probably behave a little bit less. But as we saw tonight, once the new ball was taken and that harder ball, it's still moving around off that surface. So I suppose that's good signs for us being so far ahead.
John.
Chris, I was going to ask about that freakish patches of play yesterday where drop catch, consecutive balls twice at the same field on every occasion. I mean, what was going to be like?
I don't know really. Obviously, when a ball goes down, you know how difficult it is. Catching is not an easy skill, and the guys are working extremely hard to try and make sure we take every chance. But it's part of the game. Chances are going to go down. So as a bowler, you kind of, although you're frustrated, you don't go too hard at your fellow fielders. But obviously you're frustrated when the catch goes down, but you've still got a job to do next ball. Often a catch goes down, the next ball goes to the fence. So you want to make sure that you try and put the ball in the next area and in the right area. And thankfully, I managed to do that. A bit of a freakish way to do it, but obviously delighted.
I was asking, sorry, maybe you should notice the name of your baby's name?
Layla Louise.
When was she born?
2nd of July.
Say
It's putting me on the spot.
Andrew Miller, then Richard Gibson to finish, and then we're done.
Chris, when you came to the crease, I don't think anyone on either side had gone past 30. So was there a sort of specific target you thought would be enough? And once you'd gone past that, presumably, was there ever any sort of a declaration for that?
To be honest, I didn't really think of a score at any point really. I was thinking of just a matter of building a partnership, trying to get past, as any batsman does when you first go out to the crease, getting past your first, I suppose, 20 balls, 25 balls. Once you get past that, obviously things naturally get a bit easier. So that was all I was trying to do really. I wasn't looking too much at the scoreboard in terms of how much lead we need. Me and Johnny did tick it off in fives, but that was the only time we really looked at the score. We were just trying to bat against the bowlers that were bowling to us, and as I said, ticking off spells as well as we saw it. But never really, I suppose we didn't think at the time that we'd have the lead that we had now. But as I said, when me and Johnny got in, and we both probably, Johnny got to 50 and I got to 30, it felt a little bit more in. And as I said, the ball got a little bit softer and less hard. It made it a little bit easier. So at that point, that's all we were looking at really.
And sorry, just about the declarations, obviously the weather for the rest of the match doesn't sound too great. Was there any discussion about that?
There hasn't been. I mean, I've only been in the dressing room at tea time and then right at the end, and I haven't heard anything. I'm sure those discussions are being held. I mean, captain and coach will be definitely thinking of that. You know, how much you can trust the forecast, I don't know, but I haven't seen it, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen. But you know, if there is a bit of rain around tomorrow, that might play into our hands with it being a bit overcast, a little bit of moisture around. Hopefully, it moves around like it did on day one. I'm sure it won't quite move around as much as it did, but you know, with a significant lead, hopefully we can, whenever it is we come to bowl, we can put the Indian batsman under pressure with obviously some scoreboard pressure there as well.
Chris, you've obviously missed some cricket through injury, quite a chunk of cricket through injury this year. I just wanted to take you back to the start of the year. Is it fair, I know it's a different form of the game, but is it fair to say you've sort of rediscovered your batting rhythm and have held that rhythm ever since in the Australian one days? Do you feel a bit like that?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, you know, I didn't bat as well as I'd liked in Australia. You know, there's no doubt about that. I didn't score as many as I'd liked there. But yeah, certainly found some sort of form and rhythm with the bat, as you say, during that India one-day series. That's definitely probably the best one-day series I've had with the bat. And then I suppose I've carried that through. You know, obviously having a chunk of cricket, missed a chunk of cricket throughout the summer, I suppose you have to refresh and come back into the game, and form kind of goes out the window because you've had that bit of a break. But you know, I felt in good rhythm in the nets. And felt like I've been hitting the ball okay. So yeah, I mean, I didn't think I'd go out. I didn't really have going out there and getting 100 on my radar today, to be honest with you. But at the same time, once you get in, obviously I try and have that mindset of playing like a batsman, and I managed to do that.
And was there anything particularly in Australia that triggered the sort of form turnaround? Because you hadn't scored many runs previously, as you said.
I think just the change of format and freeing you up a little bit. I think I had a couple of innings in Australia where I had to go in, and I suppose you don't really worry too much about your defence and getting out the way of the ball. You kind of just see ball, hit ball, and that certainly helped with that. In Australia, I suppose I had a couple of good innings and kind of picked up some form from there.
Thank you.
Thank you.